Good evening, yogis. Welcome to class. For today's movement theme, we'll be working on spinal flexion and extension. So just a review of what that is. Spinal flexion is when you're rounded, think cat pose. And then spinal extension is going the other way, a cow or a little bit of a back. So we'll be working with going between the two, and certain poses call for more of one or more of the other, just depending on what we're going for. So we'll start just with some of that movement. We'll sit in Baddha Konasana with the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. And sometimes you'll see this pose done with the feet really close in. And I'm going to suggest for this version, take the feet out a little further forward than you normally would. And if you see me here, if just naturally in this position, you're kind of rocking back on the pelvis, that might call for a little bit of a lift under the hips. So I'm going to take a blanket, fold it in half, and just prop up upon it. Oh, good, Mary's here. Yeah. So we'll come sit like so in Baddha Konasana with any sort of support underneath your hips. And let's just start to move through our spinal flexion and extension. So just rounding and going the other direction. Take that a few more times. I'm going to do something with this screen for a second. It's a little, just need to flip it to the other view. Now we'll experiment a little bit with where we initiate the movement from. So let's actually pause the next time you pull the chest forward, spinal extension. And then as we round the back, start at the very tip of the tailbone. Let the tailbone tuck under and then try to go one vertebra at a time. Eventually coming to the upper part and the head will drop down. The same thing to get into the other position. Let's draw the tip of the tailbone down and back. Keep the upper back rounded, and then just very gradually from the bottom to top, you'll undo and come into the other one. Yeah, let's do that one more time, initiating from the tailbone. So the tailbone tucks under, going really, really slowly, round, round, round. And then the tip of the tailbone drops down and back. And then let the upper part, the head, be the last thing. Great. And then let's just take a few more, just normal version. Then we're going to do it again with that slow initiation, this time starting with the head. So we'll start in your cow pose. And then the head will drop down. Let the upper back drop back. And then from the top to the bottom, we'll round. And then we'll come out of this again, leading from the head. It's a little weird. So the head comes forward, the chest comes forward, and then the rest of the spine follows and we're up. Let's do one more round of that, leading with the head to go down. And then leading with the head to come up. Well, it looks like we have one more visitor here. So bear with me. I'm gonna just keep going and I will come back in a second. Just a second, I'm coming. Oh, hi. I didn't know you had a key. Oh, that's okay. I didn't have a key. All right. Now I just want to make sure this is working. I'm masked up. Garland, where to close down. All right. If you are online, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So let's just take a few more rounds of this, our back and forth. Yeah. And then we'll pause, and I'm going to say something about, often we get the instruction in yoga, I'll give this instruction sometimes to lift the head. And if we've been sitting all day, if we've been kind of at our desk position, and then we lift the head from there, all I'm doing is
crunching and pinching the back of the neck, and it feels really crummy. So for today, when we lift the head, watch the difference here. I'm going to do a little, just kind of a little shoulder lift up and back. The chest will lift, the head will almost bow down for a second. And then as I lift the head, I want to think of lifting back through the ears and then lift the head. Yeah, and it feels much better. It feels a lot different. And then bring it back to center. Yeah, so let's try that again. First, go ahead and just come into your kind of desk position. Yeah, we sit like this a lot. We don't even realize we're doing it. And then first, just come up a little bit out of that so you're more upright. Take your shoulders, give them a little up and back. Then from there, let the chest lift, bow the head down for a second, and then think about drawing back through the sides of the ears as you come up and eventually lift the chin. Yeah. So even though the head is back, we've got some space so the back of the head isn't crunching the back of the neck. We want to find that little bit of a lift. All right. So from here, we'll take a little bit of a passive chest opener, and I'll show couple different possibilities here. Well, one option is using blocks for a supported fish pose, and I'll recommend having the blocks horizontal. You could go low or medium, and then the block behind that could go the same level or one level up to support your head, and I'm just going to show quickly what that looks like. So I've got the first block under the flat part of the shoulder blades, and you might have to wiggle a little to get in. And then the next block is under the head. Oh, that feels great. Yeah, so that's one option. If you don't have blocks or if you just don't like this one, another option is to take something, a blanket or a towel, and roll it up. And you'll place it a little bit lower. So you'll have it here, and it'll start at the shoulder blades, but then you'll scooch your body back a little bit so the device pulls the flesh of your back downward towards the buttocks. And then you'll come down. We want the head to feel supported and the neck to feel good. Sometimes we end up kind of in that crunchy position. And if that's the case, either unroll it slightly or put another prop underneath your head. Yeah, okay, so we'll just stay here for a little bit. I'm going to reset and come on to my blocks here. Now, as you're in this position, just take a little body check-in. Notice where the shoulder blades fit in on your back. See if you can maintain some ease through all sides of the neck. And just notice also where you're feeling breath, where you're feeling movement. And when you're ready to move a little bit more, let's take your arms just right in front of the chest, palms facing each other, and let the arms be a little relaxed. And feel what happens to the shoulder blades when you reach the arms more towards the ceiling. The shoulder blades will kind of wrap around the sides and pull off the back a little, and then drop the arm bones down and the shoulder blades will come down too. So do that a few times. Now, if you're on the blanket roll, you'll get a little more movement than you will on the blocks, just so you know. And then let's stay in the down position, but don't press down really hard, just kind of a relaxed down position. Bend the elbows softly and take the arms now wider apart and back to center. Now, don't go so wide that you lose sight of your fingers and your peripheral vision. And notice again what the shoulder blades are doing as the arms are moving. Yes. Okay. And then let's release the arms. Just let them relax. Take one more breath in and out. And then we'll return to lie down on your back. If you are on the blanket roll, I'll suggest lifting the hips higher so you can pull the thing out. If you're on the blocks, I would just sit up a little bit, take the blocks out, and then come back down. Yeah. And now that you're lying down, just notice how your body meets the floor, especially in the upper back, the shoulder blades. The neck won't meet the floor, but notice the curve you have there in the back of the head. And let's just take a little head movement, little side to side, like you're saying no. And let the head settle. Let's have the arms down closer to the hips. And then just think about your shoulder blades on your back and let them start to move around in different ways. And because we're laying on them, you won't get a whole lot of movement and it'll be a little strange. Okay, like a bear scratching the tree. Okay, and then we'll let that one go. Let's bring the knees in towards your chest to squeeze in, take a little bit of movement, anything is fine. And then when you're ready to get out of this one, we'll head into our all fours position. So you can just get there any way you like. Yeah. And we'll do some of the things that we've already done in different shapes. So at first, can you just move the shoulder blades around a little bit? And you'll get more movement here now that you're not laying on them. And allow the spine, of course, to just come along for the ride, and the hips and the head. And then we'll let the movement settle down, keeping the lower back and the pelvis in neutral. On the next inhale, let the chest sink a little towards the floor. And then on the exhale, press into the floor and rise up. So it's similar to cat-cow, but not exactly the same thing. So the lower back and the pelvis are in neutral, and the movement's a little higher up here. Now let's pause the next time you're in the down position. And without going anywhere, try to pull the wrists towards the knees and move the chest forward. And then from there, let the chin tilt up just enough that it feels like the back of the neck is long. If you go too much, you can hear my voice. It's gotten cut off and the back of the neck's a little pinched. So find that spot. And then let's press into the floor, round the back up through cat pose. Go back to child's pose and let the elbows relax. And let's try this all together. Try to pull the hands to the knees as you come forward, the elbows straight, and keep a little bit of that pull. And the last piece is a slight lift in the chin. And then we'll round the back and head back to child's pose. Take that a few times. It's making a little circle. And every time you come forward and up, create a little pull back with the wrists. And every time you lift the chin, lift the head, just notice that spot where, oh, that's too much, but that's just the right amount. Yeah, all right. And then let's pause next time you go back. Toes tucked under for child's pose. Scooch the knees back a little bit. Press the mat forward with your hands. You can add in a little wobble if that feels all right. And then we'll come into a different version of cat-cow. So coming back up to center, just come in, let's actually come into a little bit of a cow pose, a little bit of spinal extension, and bring your attention to the tippy tip of the tailbone. Let that draw down. Let the abdomen lift up, and then from bottom to top, you'll slowly start to round into your cat pose, and the head will be the last thing to drop down. Let's go from the tailbone again. So the tailbone lifts, and then one piece at a time from there, you'll end up in your cat pose. Yeah. No, cow, thank you. Let's go one more time from the tailbone. So round, 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 round. The head is the last thing. And then again from the tailbone to undo. Great. And then press back to child's pose. Take a little break and go up onto your fingertips for a second. I'll set the hands down and we'll do another one of those. So come back to center and now you'll walk the hands to the right and the right hand will likely come off the mat, but keep the knees pointing forward. So you're gonna side bend. Within the side bend, just take a few cat cows. The left side of the waist will get a little extra stretch. And then we'll pause in cow pose, starting at the tailbone. Tailbone drops down. And then one little bit at a time, you'll round. Eventually, the head will be the last thing to come down. Same thing, initiating from the tailbone. Lift the tailbone up, and then one piece at a time. This one's harder for me. You'll end up in cow, and the head will lift. Let's take that one more time from the tailbone. It's nice, it's good abdominal work as well when we do it like this. Yeah, so once you've completed that round, let's walk the hands over to the other side. And at first, just go through a few cat-cows on the second side. Now, if you know you have a tighter side, feel free to do that, the tighter side longer or walk further over. If you need to do different things on the two sides, that's fine. Let's pause in the cow pose, starting at the tailbone. Tailbone drops, belly lifts, and then one bit at a time, we round, 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 eventually dropping the head. And then starting at the tailbone lifts, and then undo, letting the head be the last piece. Yeah, let's take one more from the tailbone. You might notice some parts of the spine articulate really well, and then other parts move as a big chunk. Yeah, good. When you're done with those, come back to center, just release. Let's go back to child's pose and flip your hands over and give the fingers a little curl. You can, in and out, you can shift a bit from side to side. Yeah. All right, and then let's spend a little bit of time on your belly. So come forward and down onto the belly. You can scooch the legs back and down just to give you a little bit of extra space. Hands right by the lower ribs like you would have them in cobra pose. And then we'll come into that, we did it sitting. So let's bow the chin for a second. Press into the floor with your hands. Lift the front of the shoulders towards the ceiling. Now try to pull the hands towards your feet. From the bottom to top, we will uncurl and eventually lift the chin, but keep in mind the back of the neck. Keep it nice and long. And then lower yourself down. Yeah, let's do that again. And if you wish, on the way up, you can go up a little higher. If you're feeling a little restricted with the arms this far back, feel free to try them a little further forward or a little wider. Yeah, it's meant to feel good. If you're feeling pinching or compression, I would stick with the lower version. Don't go up higher. And then the next time you're down, we'll stay. Fold the hands, rest the forehead down, bend the knees, and just give the legs a little swish. Yeah, so after those, let's head back into down dog. Take a second once you get there. If you need to move around a little bit, that's fine. Oh, yeah. And then within the down dog, after you've kind of settled here, let's take your stance a little wider in the feet. Bend the knees and don't move your hands, but try to press the hands forward so the hips come back. Further away from the hands, lengthening out through the side waist. And then without the hips coming forward, slowly start to stretch the legs straighter. And go ahead and keep the feet wide for now. Oh, yes. And then let's rebend the knees, walk the hands back to the feet, And slide the hands up just below the knees on the shins. On the inhale, let's move the chest forward, straighten out the legs. On the exhale, bend the knees and let yourself go down. So let this be a little similar here to that undulation movement we've been doing. It's like an ocean wave in your spine. And then on the next inhale, let's press into the feet. Come all the way up, lift the arms. And release the arms. Yeah. Take a little shoulder in and out rotation, just a couple of times. Yes. And then let's also, while we're here, take some hula hoops. You knew I was going to say that, didn't you? And then go the other direction. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I could do it without the hula hoops anymore. Okay. So we'll stay at the back of the mat. Maintain your wide stance in the legs, slight bending in the knees, and then take the backs of the hands together as you round the back. Shoulder blades move apart. And then we'll flip the hands over, open up, chest moves forward, and you create a little lift. Do that a few times. So standing cat-cow. Great. All right. And then let's release the arms just down alongside you. Reset your feet so that the feet are right underneath the hips. Let's inhale to come all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, taking it down, Uttanasana. Feel free to bend the knees here. Come up halfway, lengthen. And then on your way down, walk the hands forward. We'll go to plank and then drop the knees once you get there. Yeah, so plank on the knees. You can, your choice, toes can be tucked or straight back. And now in this position, go ahead and allow the pelvis to come a little forward. Keep the belly engaged, so it's similar, it's like up dog, but the knees are down. Breathe in, and then on the exhale, lift the belly more. Go about halfway back to child's pose. And then from here, let's inhale, press round to come forward. And then at the end of the movement, you'll lift. And on the exhale, lift and round to go back. Yeah, so just taking this a few times. Having the spinal flexion in the middle, so you round. Yeah. And then let's have this be the last one, and we'll meet in the forward position. Next time you get there, let's bend the elbows, and then from the bottom to the top, let yourself come all the way down. Scooch the legs back like we did before, and let's take the arms back this time, thumb tips on the floor. Slight bend in the elbows, lift the front of the shoulders away from the floor, engage through the upper back. Let's keep that, lift the legs just barely up off the floor, pull the toe tips back, and then stretch the fingertips back as well. So here we are in Shalabhasana. Go ahead and let the chin lift, but only so much that you feel length in the back of the neck, no pinching in the back of the neck. And then let's take the arms forward. Just turn the head to one side as you come down. You can bend the knees and give the legs a little swish back and forth. All right, we'll put the legs back down, head into your downward facing dog. Feel free, if you want to move around again, you can. If it feels better to take the feet wide, do that. Just do what you need to do. Yeah, and then let's meet in a forward fold. Uttanasana, root down to rise up, all the way up we come. Yeah, and release the arms. This time, yeah, let's do slither asana. So just stand very lazily and move around any which way. And because we did shoulder blade stuff earlier, let's initiate this from the shoulder blades. So that they drive, everything else comes along. Okay, great. So I'm gonna demonstrate the next thing. Watch for a second. And if it's too much, you'll do the previous one we did a second ago. So from plank pose, you will keep the distance between hands and feet. Resist the temptation to shorten here. And then I will lift the heels. I'll drop the head and see how round I am on the way forward. I stay like that until the shoulders get over the wrists. And then I take the rounding out. But what I'm not going to do here is drop down. We'll stay in the up position. And then you'll lift round to head back. So we take spinal flexion during the transition, and then just spine neutral in the pause. You're so excited. Yeah, it's a lot of work for the abdominals, but it's good work. It's good work. So let's just figure out your plank pose. Again, if this is not going to work for you, just do the knees down we did before. And then from there, go back to downward facing dog and resist the temptation to shorten your stance. Let's go really, really high on the feet. Pull the head in, round the back, and come forward with a rounded back until the shoulders are over the wrists. And then take the rounding out of the back, but keep the support through the core. And then lift up to go back, downward dog. Do that a few times on your own. Let the head be the last thing to lift when you get into the plank pose. Yeah. Maybe the core lifts up so much that you're on the tippy tips of the toes during that transition. Maybe not, maybe not. Yeah. Great, let's pause the next time you're forward, and then we'll come down to the belly. Take a little break here. Just rest the forehead down. Let's bend the knees and windshield wiper the feet. And now we'll do, it's kind of a rolling cobra. I'm gonna face this direction, and we'll take the hands out wide, probably coming off of your mat, fingertips on the floor, elbows point up. Let the head droop a little bit. Press into the finger tops and then lift from the bottom to the top, kind of that little undulation to come up, and then come back down. Yeah. Now you decide how high up you're gonna be. Some of us feel great coming up really high. Some of us not so much. So if it's a tiny one, I'll just show a little one. That's an option too. Yeah. Now some of you might like on the way down to add in a little kind of side to side. If you don't like that, just leave it out. Yeah. This one's really, could be really creepy, the spider cobra. I have my Halloween mask on. Yeah. All right, guys, next time you're back down, we'll stay, rest the forehead, bend the knees, take another little swish. Let's take down dog with wide feet and a slight pigeon toe. So the toes turn in ever so slightly, and that'll help kind of re-widen the pelvis and the lower back. Let's bend the knees a little bit, press the hip creases back and apart. That'll widen the knees. Hug in through your ankles, which will reset the knees and then lengthen the legs again. Yeah. Let's stay wide in your feet, but no more pigeon toe. Just point the toes straight ahead, parallel feet. And then we'll bend the knees, walk the hands to the feet. And this time, prop yourself up with the forearms on the thighs. Move the pelvis back, move the chest forward. Let's root down through the legs, and on the inhale, all the way up we come, lift the arms. Release the arms. Yay. Okay. So if you like to have blocks for your hands for lunges, let's set them up at the front. Any height that you like. Yeah, and then we'll be at the front of the mat. Sorry, I keep changing what's the front of the mat. And then inhale all the way up with the arms. Exhale, down we go, forward fold. Let's come up halfway, move the chest forward. And then on the way down, step the right leg back to your lunge pose, hands easily on something. Now in this position, especially if we're kind of tight, we end up a little bit rounded. So let's do like a bit of cat-cow here. On the inhale, pull the chest forward, draw the pelvis back. It won't be really cow-like, just a little bit. And then on the exhale, let yourself round. Do that a few times. So the inhale, lengthen, and the exhale, round. Yeah, one more time, back and forth. And then we're gonna pause in the lengthened position. Keep that. Let's firm up through the legs a little bit more. Press down through the left heel. Stretch the arms back with a little bend in the elbows. Point the tips of the elbows towards the ceiling. The collarbones will broaden, and then slowly stretch back through the fingertips as the chest continues to pull forward. Great. So we'll hold this. You can stay with arms back, or if you want more work, take the arms down and then forward here. So you'll be on the diagonal. Sometimes we come forward and then we end up rounding. Don't do it. One more breath in. And then down come the arms. Take a few rounds just to straighten and bend the front knee, just to work it out a little bit. And then after that, it might feel good to twist. Any version of twist going to the left side. And then we'll release and change legs. If you want to be fancy about it, you can jump switch. If not, just step. Yeah, great. Yeah, no, don't do it if it's a bad idea. And then from here, just notice your default. If you're a little bit rounded, just notice that. And then let's draw the pelvis back, the chest forward. That's the inhale. On the exhale, go ahead and do round. Do that a few times. A little bit like cat-cow. You won't get a whole lot for a cow. Yeah. Now let's pause in the long spine position. Keep the tailbone moving back, the chest moving forward. And then lighten up the hands. Let's bend the elbows a little bit as you draw the arms back. Point the tips of the elbows towards the ceiling. And then stretch the fingers back. Firm up through your core. You choose if you're staying put or if the arms are coming forward. But notice what's going on in your spine. Nice long spine for this one. Yeah, I found the first side so hard. This side I could stay a while. Yeah. Inhale. And on the exhale, down with the arms. Take a few rounds back and forth. Oh. And then let's pause with the front knee bent. If you want to twist to the right, any way you want to go is fine. That way, yeah. Good. All right, let's put the arm down. Move the blocks if you're on the blocks. And then take a few rounds either of the dog plank dog with the straight legs or the knee down version, that kind of lazy up dog back to child's pose. So just take a few of those with that undulation motion. Yeah. Keeping the support through the lowest part of the belly. You don't want to let that go. Great. And then let's take one more round, and the next time you go back, we'll put the knees down and land in child's pose. Arms could stay forward, they could go back. You could rest the forehead on your arms if that feels good. You could take a little wiggle in the hips if that feels good. Yeah. So we're going to practice the motion of stepping one foot forward from dog to lunge. And I'm going to have us step the foot on the outside of the hands because it's a little easier, but we'll go with that kind of spinal undulation. So just watch for a second. Here I am in my down dog. I'll bring the feet a little closer together and lift. This is my left leg lifting. Look at my bottom foot. I'm gonna go really high and I'll round the back. Yeah, so spinal flexion. Keep coming forward and then step the foot outside of the hands. Once I'm there, I don't want to stay rounded. Then I'll come into the long spine position. Yeah, so we'll round for the transition and then re-extend once you get there. I'm going to show the other side. Lift, round, and step, and lengthen. Now, what do we do if we don't make it all the way there? That happens often. Hand. Yeah, another option, you put the back knee down for a second and then lift it up again. Totally fine if you need to do that. Also fine if you need your hands on blocks. It does create a little instability, but the height definitely does help give you a little more space. So let's try. Let's try. So go back to down dog. Bring your feet a little bit closer together and let's lift the right leg here. So the leg is up. And then go really high on the left foot, round the back, pull the right knee and the head in, And then step forward outside of the hands. Yeah. And then lengthen once you get there. Great. And then we'll round, lift, and down. Swapping sides, lift the bottom heel, round, stay around until you get there, and then lengthen. And then round to go back, and step the foot down. Go ahead, take one more on each side. I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, great, so good. I know, I'm just watching here. You're the only one visible at the moment, yeah. Good, awesome. And then after you've completed your last one, just take a break for a second. You can set the knee down, take a little child's pose. Yeah. So often the instruction is to look forward before stepping the leg. And let me show you why I'm not a fan of that instruction. So here I am, I've lifted, I look forward, and see I'm no longer in spinal flexion, but the upper back and the head are in spinal extension, and there's just no room for me to step the foot. However, what's that? Yeah, and it's also hard on the neck. Remember, you missed it in the very beginning, we were talking about like lifting here versus lifting here. Yeah, so that's the lifting here position. So that's why I teach it that way. I don't know if you guys have any feedback or if you find it different, like rounding versus not rounding. Yeah. Yeah. Also, too, in yoga, sometimes we have an aversion to rounding, but it can be very beneficial for certain purposes. So we want to be able to go both ways. Okay, off my soapbox. Let's go to down dog, just a neutral down dog. And then from your position here, come to the front of the mat. You could get there any way you like. Let's take just our halfway lift. Slide the hands up to the hips, firm through the core, and hinge your way up to center. Yeah, great. All right, release the arms. Let's take another hula hoop because, good. The other direction. All right, friends. So from here, we'll take a little sequence. We'll start at the front of the mat, and later you might want the blocks, so just have them handy. We'll do a little bit of balance work, but not too much. So stand on the left leg, bring the right leg up, take the hands to prayer. You'll bend the left knee, and then in slow motion, we're reaching back for a high lunge, so the back heel stays lifted. Go ahead, lift the arms up, and then let's bend the back knee and place your hands on the left thigh. Now you won't be able to really round, but do a little bit here, rounding in the back, lifting up through the belly. Yeah, and this will, hopefully with this setup, you'll get a little more of a stretch through the front of the right hip. Can you keep the lift in the belly? Start to lengthen out the back leg, bring the torso just back to center, and then we'll take the arms up again. Good. All right. Now from here, as long as you can keep the back of the neck long, maybe you find that little bit of a lift up through the head. If that feels crummy, don't do it. All right, so we've been here before. Let's inhale. On the exhale, hinge forward, come about halfway down on the diagonal. Yes, that's too much with the arms, stretch them back. Let's actually, everybody stretch them back for this first round. Shift over onto the left leg, and we'll lift the right leg up into warrior three, leg stretching back. And then to get out, bend the right knee towards the chest, hands to prayer, and step the foot down. Okay, so now you know the pattern. Let's do that on the second side. Right leg is down, left leg is up, hands in prayer. Then you'll bend the right knee, slowly make your way to your high lunge. That's it, go ahead and just get there. And then we'll bend the back knee a little bit. Take your hands on the thigh. Lift the belly, press the hands down, let the back round, and it won't be able to round that much. Yeah, good. Keep the lift up through the low belly. Bring the torso back to center and work towards straightening the back leg. Arms come up, high lunge. Think of lifting the rib cage off the pelvis, and as long as it feels all right, you can add in the gaze upward. Don't let it pinch the back of the neck. Now from here, we'll go into that diagonal. So as you're ready, hinge forward, come about halfway. Yes, a lot of work in the legs. Stretch the arms back, and then we'll come into warrior three. Right leg is the bottom leg, left leg comes up and back. And then to get out, bend the left knee, bring it forward, hands to prayer, and step. Oh, okay, yay, that one will just make it hot, won't it? Let's do the second side. If you want a little more challenge, you'll keep the arms up or forward the whole time, up to you. So left leg is down, right leg is up, hands to prayer. Slowly you'll bend the left knee, draw yourself back and up into high lunge. We'll just go straight there. We'll skip the rounded back shape. Keep the rib cage lifting up off the pelvis, maybe add in that lifting up of the head. And then we'll hinge for about halfway. You decide. Arms can stay forward or they can stretch back, lifting the back leg up, warrior three pose. And then we'll bend the knee, hands to prayer, lift forward and down. Yay. Last side, last side. So right leg down, left leg up. Make your way back into your high lunge. Go ahead and just arrive. Lift the ribs off the pelvis, up come the arms. Maybe gaze up as long as that feels okay. Yeah, okay. We're coming halfway forward into the diagonal. You choose, arms stay forward or they go back. Let's lift the back leg up, warrior three pose. And then we'll lift the knee, hands to prayer. Step down to feel the floor. Great, yeah, just move a little bit. And after that, let's take feet just a little wider than you normally stand. Bend the knees, bring the hips back, rest the forearms on the thighs. Draw back through the pelvis, forward through the chest. Press apart wide through the upper thighs. Hug in more narrow through the ankles. Oh, I skipped a whole section. It's okay. I shouldn't have said that. You wouldn't have known. All right, guys, inhale all the way up. And release the arms. Yeah. We'll go ahead and do it now. So stay at the front of the mat, hands just on the hips. Let's stretch the right leg back with the heel down for warrior one. And it's okay if it's a shorter than normal warrior one, just a comfortable position. Let's stretch the arms up. Bend the front knee, bend the elbows, hinge forward. Yeah, and then come back up to center. So it's warrior one-ish. Do a couple of those. Yeah. Oh no, I can hear your knee. Let's stay in the forward position. That's it. Engage through the belly, and then we'll take the arms down to the floor or to your blocks. Any height is fine. Maybe err on the side of a little higher than you normally go. Press the left heel down and try to press it forward to lengthen the leg. And then from here, as the pelvis moves back, move the chest forward. Yeah, now you can stay here. Mighty fine to stay here. You might even get more of a stretch in the hamstring. Or you can fold yourself down, possibly lowering the blocks or removing the blocks. Yeah. Now, once you're in whatever shape you've chosen, breathe. Sometimes a little movement helps, maybe a little tiny side to side. Maybe just a mini version of that little spinal undulation with your breath. And then in a second, we'll get out of this. Let's let the front knee bend. Bring the arms back for a moment. And then on the inhale, we'll head up to warrior one pose. And just step the back leg forward. And here we are. Let's do that on side two. Hands onto the hips. Left leg steps back with the heel down. Just a comfortable stance for yourself. Take the arms up, inhale. Exhale, bend the knees, bend the elbows, hinge. Yeah, take that a few times. This one always reminds me. I think I've told you, I have this cute baby tortoise, and he's very brave. He's very adventurous. He loves to climb. When he climbs up high, he'll like look over the edge. It's kind of like this. Yeah. But he's never, he's never fallen on his head. Okay, so let's stay in the down position. Release the arms. And then from here, you'll press the right heel down and try to press it forward. As you move the chest forward, almost try to be in a little bit of a back bend. You won't get very far. You can stay like that if you wish. You can fold over if you wish. If you fold it over, you'll likely want to go a little bit lower in the arms. And then if any kind of movement is in order, I'll just a few possibilities. You could shift the hips back and forth. Or you could take a mini version of that spinal undulation. So inhale a little forward, exhale a little bit down. Each time, perhaps just going a little lower if that works. Right. And then to get out of it, we'll bend the front knee, send the arms back. Inhale up, warrior one. And step the back foot forward. Okay. And yeah, just take a moment. All right, friends. So we're going to take a forearm plank with some of the spinal stuff in mind. Let's go ahead and just get there. I'll talk you through it as we go. And we'll start with a pretty easy version and build from there. So onto the belly you come. Elbows either right under the shoulders or a little ahead of the shoulders. Sometimes a little further out feels better. You can have hands stacked, fingers interlaced, palms down, whatever you want. And then at first, just drop down a little bit. Just below the navel, can you lift? And then from there, keep the idea of that lift until the head comes up. So it's almost cobra-like in the beginning. Yeah, keep the lift in the belly. This time, try to pull the elbows back towards your hips, which might help you lift a little bit more. Yeah, and then relax. We'll go again, adding on. So let's lift up just below the navel, start to come up. Now, if you do the next bit, you're gonna, instead of pulling the elbows back, you'll press the elbows forward, coming up onto the knees. Yeah. Now, go ahead and allow yourself to be a little more rounded than you would be in plank pose, just to get in touch with the lower belly. And then bring yourself back down, a little rest. Now, option, you could stick with any of those, or when we go into the next bit, really challenging is to stay on the toenails on the tops of the feet. A little easier, but still a challenge, is to tuck the toes under. So however you think you want to try that with the feet, go ahead and set the feet. And then we'll start in the beginning here. So drop yourself down. Just below the navel, lift, and then keep the lift going. Now, if you're staying down, you'll keep the elbows pulling back. If you're coming up, you'll press the elbows forward. We'll go onto the knees first. And then you decide if you're going on straight legs, toenails on the floor, toes tucked under. Yeah, go ahead and let yourself be a little bit more rounded than you normally do in plank. Keep the forearms pressing down and forward. Just below the navel is really lifting. Yeah. And then to get out of it, see if you can control the descent, knees down, pelvis down, pull the rest of you down. Just rest for a second, maybe add a little wiggle. Can we do it again? No. Let's do it again. All right, so set yourself up. I'll talk faster, that way we won't be up as long. So here we are, you know what to do. Lift up through the belly, find the lift. If you're going under the knees, do that. If you're going onto the feet, do that. Go ahead and keep yourself a little bit more rounded than you normally would do, just for this one, so we get a little more in touch with the abdomen. Yeah. Now, if you're on straight legs, toes tucked under, lift the hips a little more and then go to child's pose, knees down. If you're in any other position, lower down first and then go back to child's pose. Oh, yeah. Oh, child's pose feels so good, doesn't it? All righty. And then let's come up to sit. Swing the legs around forward. And we'll come into a variation of Purvottanasana, and we'll all start in the same place. So you can either have hands facing out or facing towards the hips. You could even have hands back if you want. And then at first, just let yourself drop down. Guess what we're gonna do? Let's untuck the pelvis, roll up through the spine, lifting the chest. Yeah. So if you have shoulder stuff going on, you might want to just stick with this, keeping the chest lifted. If your shoulders are feeling good and you'd like to lift the hips, go ahead and do. Now for this one, for me, letting the head go back really just doesn't feel good. If it feels fine for you, that's okay, as long as the back of the neck isn't pinched. Yeah. And then to get out, let's lower the hips down. Just come down to sit. Yeah, you can roll the wrist out a little bit. Now I'm going to show straight-legged version. Feel free though just to do bent knee again, but some of you guys at home later might want to try this. You could do straight-legged version, same thing. So I'm going to start with a little bend in the knees. Let's find that lift up through the chest. And then from here, as you're ready, let the hips lift up. Now, if you're going for the straight-legged version, try to press the soles of the feet more towards the floor, and that'll allow a little more of a lift up through the pelvis. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then bring yourself down. Question? Oh, it cramped up on you. It happens. Nuts. Yeah. All right. And then to get out of these, let's just come to a cross-legged position. Any version is fine. Yeah. And then circles. Oh, yeah. Another direction, unless you already did that. Okay. And then from here, friends, let's come on down to your back. Yay, we get to lay down. Oh boy. And then a few possibilities here. You might take the feet wider and let the knees go from side to side, windshield wiper twist. That's an option. You might want to do a few bridges, and you could do a little bit of the spinal undulation here if you're doing the bridges. You could, if you want more of a curled in sort of shape, you could bring the knees in or take a happy baby. Just whatever feels like the best way for you to wind down. And then, sorry, Jill, I didn't remember, I had the overhead lights on. I'm going to turn them off for Shavasana. It looks better on Zoom. So, yeah, if I'm the only one here, yeah. Yeah, at least for Shavasana, if I can remember which one it is. Okay, that worked. All right, friends. So as you settle in to your Shavasana, we did a lot with the spine today. Bring your awareness to the spinal column and ask the muscles all along the sides of the spine to relax. And imagine the entire back of the body widening. Relax through the belly, relax through the chest. And allow the front of the body to sink into the back of the body. Allow the whole body to breathe. Every time you breathe, and bring your attention back to your body. And start to move a little bit, any which way. Eventually, let your knees bend. Roll over onto one side. And we'll meet up in a seated position. Hands at heart center. Thank your own body for everything that it's able to do. Thank yourself for your own practice. Namaste.